Have you given GMAT and did you score around 600? So when I say 600, it could be 610, 620, or could be 580, 590, but somewhere around 600. And now you want to score 700 plus. In this video, I'll share experience of one of my students who scored went from 610 to 700 in 3 weeks. Hi, my name is Mandeep. I'm a GMAT coach and founder of GMAT Mantra. I'm a retaker specialist. So I work with two type of students. One who have already given GMAT but failed to score 700 plus on the GMAT. So they are people, who scored around 500, 550, 600, 650, but they failed to get to 700, 700 plus. So I work with them. Or I work with people who have already prepared for GMAT. Maybe they prepared in some group coaching, they joined some GMAT Prep Institute, and or they are the ones who have just bought some online courses, but they fail to prepare for GMAT because of consistency or lack of motivation. So I work with these two type of students. Now what I do, I bring consistency to their preparation. So once I bring consistency, second I bring structure to the preparation. So when you have consistency plus structure, you're bound to get 700 plus. So if you're someone who has already given GMAT and failed to score your target score, which is 700 plus, or you have prepared with some institute, or you have done some preparation yourself, but you don't have any structure or you don't have consistency, then you can work with me. I don't work with the people who are just starting their GMAT preparation, because the people, most of them, I can't comment on about everybody, but most of the students who are just starting their GMAT preparation, they lack motivation. So I cannot motivate you. What all I can do is that I can give structure to your preparation. I'll just define each and every step of your preparation. You just have to follow those steps, and once you follow those steps, you get consistency, and once you have consistency, score is a byproduct of that. Most of the students fail to get the score because of these two reasons, because they don't have any structure, they don't know what to do in the next step, they're completely confused. And when you're confused, you lack motivation, and when you lack motivation, you become inconsistent. But once you know what you need to do, you automatically get motivation and consistency follow. Now, coming back to this student, so this is about Rohan. So Rohan approached me for GMAT coaching last December. So when he approached me, he told me that he has already given GMAT twice. In the first attempt, he scored 590, and in the second one, he scored 610. And he was working with one of her counselors who was preparing her applications. So she said that for the school that he was targeting, he needs around 670. And to get to that score, her counselor recommended my name because I'm known for retakers. So she sent Rohan to me so that we can work on his GMAT and we can take his score to at least 670. So when he approached me, he told me that he wants to score 670 and he just have 3 weeks. So I said, okay, we can try this. So I said, do you have the ESRs of last attempt? ESR is the enhanced score report of last attempts. So he said that he has the ESR of the recent test in which he scored 610. So I said, mail me and just give me a few hours and then we'll get on a call again. So when I looked at his ESR, he emailed me the ESR. And when I looked at the ESR, he scored 42 in quant and 32 in verbal. So when I looked at the concern areas, in verbal, he was doing fine in his sentence correction. He was around, I think, 75 to 80 percentile. And in critical reasoning, he was around 50, 55 percentile. But he was struggling badly with reading comprehension, which was, I think, around 5 or 10 percentile. I thought he got all the questions wrong. In quant, his major concern was across all the sections, but he was struggling badly with the number properties, inequalities, percentages. So I just designed a plan for him. So because I know that I just have to give him a 60 points jump. So I decided to just focus on his weaknesses. So I called up Rohan and told him that, see, as per my analysis, I think we should just, in verbal, we should just focus on reading comprehension, because you're really struggling with reading comprehension. And if you can just get your reading comprehension to 70-80 percentile, your score automatically increases by at least 50-60 points. And similarly, if you work on your quant, and if it can take it to maybe 47-48, again we get around 30-40 points jump. So I said, I think let's do a combination of that, and we can easily reach 670. That was his target. He said, okay. I told him that you have to take care of two things throughout the preparation. Number one, I said that when you prepared last time, when you scored 590 and 610, one of the major mistakes you did is that you looked for the explanations for the questions that you got wrong. And this is the major problem of all the students who end up getting around 600 or maybe 500, 550, 600. What happens is, whenever they're practicing and when they get a question wrong, they never solve that question themselves. They always go back and look at the explanations. See, when you look at the explanations for any question, you're not using your own mind. And you have to understand that GMAT is not a exam of knowledge. It's an exam of aptitude. Aptitude is that how much focus you have, how much concentration you have. So if you don't solve anything, that means you're not able to concentrate on something. That means you have a weak focus. So when you're looking at the explanation, automatically you're losing on confidence, because you get confidence by doing things. Just by looking at the explanations or just reading the theory, your confidence level will not increase. So that was number one mistake. So now when we prepare and when I give you homework, you will not look at the explanation from any source. Now, I told him that you may have this doubt that, oh, I should practice more. I told him you don't have to practice more. Practice less, but make sure that you solve every question yourself. Okay. It's better to do 5 questions yourself than solving 50 questions and looking for explanations for each of those questions. That was the main problem you faced last time. That's number one. Okay. And this is the main problem of every student who is stuck at this position. The second problem he had was that he doesn't know how to give GMAT. So when he was giving actual GMAT, he assumed that he has to get every question right. Okay, he wants to get every question correct. And when he was in this rush to get every question correct, he was in a rush. And because of that rush, he committed a lot of silly mistakes. So I said that you don't have to get all the questions correct. Okay, what you have to do is you have to focus on 100% accuracy. So I said in verbal, you just focus on 100% accuracy. Let's say you're able to do 25 questions, get all of them correct. And for the last 11 questions, just mark anything randomly in last 2-3 minutes. We get negative marking when we leave the section unattempted. So in last 2-3 minutes, just don't get greedy. Just mark something for the remaining question and complete the section. Same goes for quant. So I told him your focus is just to get 100% accuracy. If you are able to solve 20 questions, do all of them. And in last 3 minutes, just mark something for remaining 11 questions. This is the strategy that you have to follow throughout. Okay. So when we started, so initial, we have 3 weeks. So I said that first let's focus on quant. So first 4 days, I focused on quant and I focused on 3 topics: number system, inequalities, and percentages. So what I did, I specifically focused on data sufficiency, because I know that data sufficiency is a pain for maximum students. So if you can work on your data sufficiency, problem solving automatically improves. So we kept 100% focus on data sufficiency. So in the first day, I taught him number system. We discussed some 700 to 800 level questions. I focused mainly on how to approach, how to think, how to solve the questions. I was not interested in, just telling him how to solve it. What is the right approach? How you think, how you put in values, what are the different ways to solve the questions. Then once we are done with the class, I gave him some homework. There were around 20 questions, and I told him that you have one day. Today you have to complete this, but make sure that you invest at least half an hour per question. You have to solve every question yourself, and you will not give up on any question. So sit with that question at least for half an hour. It was difficult for him initially because he has never done that. But he stayed there, he solved as many questions he could. And in the next class, he explained every question to me. So when we were discussing the homework of number system, I could explain him that, okay, what was another way of solving the questions? And wherever he was getting stuck, I told him why he was getting stuck. And then we move on to the next topic, which is inequalities. So in first 4 days, we covered up these three topics: number system, inequalities, and percentages. After fourth day, I gave him a set of questions, all were 700 level questions. I said that your job is that whenever you're free, we don't have a class. That means you have to practice these questions. I told him you have to do maybe 5 to 10 questions from each topic. And it's not fixed that you have to complete 10 questions. Main focus is that you have to solve every question yourself. I'm happy if you do 2 questions, but make sure you did do those questions yourself. He said, okay. After the next 3 days, we invested on reading comprehension. We discussed few passages. I explained him how you read a passage, what all things you have to take care of while reading the passage. And the 7th day onward, I said for next 2 weeks, we are going to focus on a very specific plan. I said that we're going to take mock test every alternate day. So we'll be doing around 7, 8, 9 mock tests. Okay. So once you take a mock test, we'll sit and we'll discuss every question you got wrong in mock test and whatever doubts you have in the practice questions. Parallel to that, because I've already given him homework for practice questions for quant, I said for verbal, for reading comprehension, you have to solve LSAT passages. Okay, so I told him do around 3-4 LSAT passages, 700 level. So when you do LSAT passages, you're prepared for worst case. They're pretty long passages and most of the questions are inference questions. So they make your life difficult. And again, I told him that you don't have to focus on the timing. You just focus on 100% accuracy. So 8th day, he took a mock. We sat on the evening of 8th day. We discussed every question that he got wrong. Because for verbal, I was not working on sentence correction and critical reasoning. So whichever question he was getting wrong for sentence correction and critical reasoning, I asked him, explain me how you did these questions. So through those discussions, I could, cover up the problems or the weak areas of these two topics. And parallel to that, reading comprehension was going on. Next day, he kept his practice of reading comprehension and all those three topics of quant. Again, a day after, he gave another mock. At the end of each mock, when we discuss it, I used to have a discussion. Like I said, okay, how did you feel during the mock? So he was telling me, okay, no, initially there was a rush, I was anxious. Then whenever he got some question wrong or he waste a lot of time on a question, he get that panic. And then there was a rush because I could see the pattern. Whenever he got invested 5-6 minutes on a question, he get that question wrong. And after that, 2-3 questions again, he gets wrong. And then he, bring back his attention and then he could focus. So I told him that don't bother about the time because still, I told him few things, but just telling doesn't mean that you will implement them immediately. So I told him that you don't have to focus on all the questions. Even if you take, time on one of the question, it's okay. Because our focus is not to get 100% accuracy. Our focus is, to attempt all those questions which we can and get all of them right. You don't have to get you don't have to attempt all the questions. So after every discussion, every mock, I was telling him this. Second, I kept telling him one thing because anxiety is one of the major causes that maximum students fail to get their target score. So I kept telling him one thing. I said that, see, even if you don't get your target score, still nothing will happen to your life. So keep telling yourself, I don't care how much I score in GMAT. Just an exam. If I score well, good. Even if I don't, it doesn't matter. I'm doing pretty good in my life and I can figure out something. So GMAT is not everything in my life. It's just, one exam. The purpose of this discussion was, to relax him. And with each day, whenever we have a discussion, I just kept my message clear that you don't have to, put GMAT to your head. It's just an exam. Don't bother. Whatever happens, happens. So he kept repeating these statements. And with each mock, his anxiety was coming down. So probably I think my third or fourth mock, he started hitting 700. I think around fifth or sixth mock, he reached 740. So when he reached 740, I asked him what was his feelings during the exam, how what was going through. He said I was totally relaxed. I was not even bothered what I'll get. I just went, I gave the mock and just let it happen. So I said you have to just stay in that state. If you stay there, you are 700 plus. So again, we took in some more mocks. So his score was fluctuating between 700, 740, sometimes 690. So on the given day, when he gave the GMAT, he scored 700. Quant was 48, verbal was 38. He could have done better, but we have limited time, because when we have more time, so we can work on more concerned areas. But my target was very clear that he needs 60 points jumped, but he got 90 points jumped. So if you just follow this strategy, that you just focus on the things, which are the concern areas, and you need to have time also, because he was on leave, so I can implement this plan. But if somebody is working, I cannot implement this much probably in 3 weeks. Probably it may take, 45 days. So if you're, we have given GMAT twice or thrice and scored around 600, follow the strategy and you can reach 700. But what I have seen is that the major problem, happened with most of the student is, the self-doubt. So even if I have given you the plan, but once you start implementing the plan, you will fail in first 2 3 days. When you fail, you start doubting the plan. And when you start doubting the plan, you will start looking for something new. And every time, you do try something, you fail, you change. So here you need somebody who you can trust. That's where the role of a coach or a teacher comes in. So if you've already prepared and given GMAT twice or thrice, but you're not able to break your stagnated GMAT score, don't waste time further. I would suggest either you can work with me or work with some GMAT coach, because you need somebody who can guide you through this process. It's not all about the knowledge. It's about those discussions that you have with the coach when you're doubting yourself. Then the coach tells you that you're focusing on something wrong, and he helps you to change your focus, and he brings that trust in the plan. So once you have a plan which has been which is a proven plan which has worked with other students, and you follow the same plan, and you have somebody who can just take you through those self doubts, and he can just tell you, just follow the plan, trust yourself. So you'll see each day your confidence increases. But as when we are working on with ourselves, we don't have anyone who can help us out, then that it's very difficult to get out of that self doubt, and we waste so much time in that loop, because we are not able to take consistent steps, or even if you are able to take consistent step, but we are not going in the right direction. So that is the major concern for most of the students. So again, if you have scored 600 610 and wants to go to 700, again I would recommend you can follow this plan. If you can manage yourself, great, or work with somebody. You can work with me or some GMAT coach. Thank you for your time and patience.